Okay, today I would like to do a little talk about layout. What I want to do is lay out this pattern or casting and show you the process and steps you go through to actually get a layout so you can build the part. It's a simple part, but you'll get the idea, and we'll get into it. Anyway, to get to a starting point, several things we need to know, and first would be a quick talk about shrink rules and various shrinks. We're going to do that part in aluminum, so we got to look at it this way. So we're going to do aluminum. Aluminum is percentage. If you're using metric rules, which this part was all in metric, you'd use 1 to 1.3% in metric, or 8 to 5/32 for aluminum. And you got your other various shrinks here. So when you get into a pattern shop, you basically have what I started out with anyway, was a series of shrink rules, 2 foot and 1 inch, that go from 1/10 of an inch to 3/8. If you line up one end, these are all different lengths, and you need both a common rule, 12 inch and 2 foot, in both metric and common rule, or imperial, I guess if you want to call it that. We just called them common rule. So those are the two different types of rules we'd use. These are for measuring a casting when you need to. Like I said, we got 1 foot and 2 foot, and this is 300 millimeter, and I got a 500 millimeter. Same thing. So since we're going to use this in aluminum, don't need my 1/10. You can either use 1/8 or 5/32. And quick talk about the various sizes. We got 3/16 for brass or copper alloys, 1/4 inch for steel, and 5/16 for manganese steel. This is a 3/8 rule. That's basically a double shrink. So if I'm going to make a steel casting but I need an aluminum match plate, I'd use the 3/8 to build the patterns for the match plate. We also had a 7/16, but it was hardly ever used and wasn't worth the money to buy because I never would have used it in my entire time I was in the pattern shop. The 1/4 inch, 5/16 could be the same thing if I make an aluminum pattern. For brass castings, I'd use a 5/16 rule for the master. 1/4 inch could be same thing, aluminum match plate for aluminum castings. So that's pretty much everything there. We also used in a large casting for steel, we would use a 1/4 inch for all the outside dimensions, and since there's usually a core, it was a big cylinder core, we'd use 3/16 for the inside because I used air set sand and the casting may not shrink properly and give it enough finish for the inside bore. So we used the 3/16 for IDs and a 1/4 inch for the ODs. And the 1/10 was for iron. So those are the shrink rules. In this case, we're going to use the 1/8 inch rule. So these are out of here. We're going to use this in metric, so we don't really need the 1/8 inch rule. But I do have a 1% shrink in metric. I bought these from a retired pattern maker that came to the US from Spain. And when he retired, I bought these from him. So this is what we're going to use for the layout. If you're in a pattern shop, I'm going to lay this out in pencil, which is, I never did that. We did all our layout with straight edge. So to get a baseline to work with, this is my smaller stuff. Panel gauge. This would be used for marking your parallel line off the edge of the plywood. We always laid out on a piece of 1/8" plywood. Sometimes the masonite board, which I didn't really like, but anyway, we'd lay our baseline out with that. You need a square. This is a 6-inch square. Biggest one I got is a 18-inch blade, a Starrett. You'll need a set of dividers for transferring dimensions. Bevel, T-bevel or bevel. This is for picking up angles off your layout and transferring them for draft. Okay, so let's get into the layout of this part and we'll see what it looks like. We can now work directly off the layout. We don't have to touch a drawing. The drawing's put away and we're done. We build the pattern strictly off the layout. Ideally, it would be checked by a second person to verify all dimensions are accurate. So that's it. We'll talk at you later. Let me know what you think and leave a comment or whatever you like. And if you have any questions, do that too. Talk to you later. Bye.